What is Disney? A seemingly simple question that, if you were to ask 20 years ago, most people would conjure up characters from Mickey Mouse to Mufasa, destinations from Disneyland to Disney Sea, and films ranging from Pinocchio to Pirates of the Caribbean. And yet, if the same question was asked today, many would first think of the superheroes of Stan Lee, the galaxy of George Lucas, the manic Muppets of Jim Henson, or the computer-generated creations of John Lasseter. To this end, the 100-year anniversary of the Walt Disney Company appears to be starting very much in the same way as Walt Disney World's lackluster 50th, in that they simultaneously shy away from honoring most of the history and heritage of their subject matter, while also focusing entirely too much attention on the characters and content from the company's relatively recent acquisitions. To almost ironically paraphrase one of those purchased properties, Disney's 100 Years of Wonder celebration is a tribute to all Disney, but mostly mergers from the last 15 years. And what little Walt or Disney there is in the centennial celebration lacks the scope needed for what is perhaps the most recognizable and until recently universally respected company in the history of the modern world. So what can be done to properly commemorate this milestone before it too slips away? Perhaps the most natural medium to properly present such a special legacy is not in parks with pyrotechnics or with platinum-dipped products, but returning to the studio's silver screen roots with a showcase inspired by one of its greatest creations from the Hollywood that never was and always will be. For nearly 3 decades, the Great Movie Ride captivated a generation with its spectacular journey into the movies that culminated in an incredible finale that celebrated the most memorable moments in cinematic history. This finale was created by the undisputed master of montage, Chuck Workman, who also created the emotionally impactful ending to the Magic of Disney Animation Tour, TCM's 100 Years at the Movies, as well as more than a dozen Academy Awards presentations. Using Chuck's inspiring and reverential style as a template, combined with my verbose visual vocabulary cultivated over 30 years of studying Disney history, I hope to create a short film that, instead of depicting the same tired set of a dozen films and songs, would showcase how the studio once encompassed the entire spectrum of the human experience. From the simplistic silly symphonies to the sophistication of Fantasia, the suspense of The Sixth Sense and Watcher in the Woods, to the sultry performances of sirens from Jessica Rabbit to Breathless Mahoney, the exciting adventures of Captain Sparrow and the Robinson family, to the nearly spiritual transformations of the Beast and Princess Giadekash. My goal is to encapsulate the entirety of Disney's cinematic century in a tightly constructed, action-filled, emotionally impactful 13-minute presentation to premiere shortly before the actual centennial of the Disney Brothers Studio on October 16th of this year. Unlike my previous film, the production on this one won't be prolonged by experimental special effects or esoteric concepts. The only real challenge will be in editing together roughly 500 films for the compilation and, of course, the time needed to assemble it. This is where you come in. In order to complete this film as soon as possible, I need your support, the details of which will be included with this video, including several benefits and a few surprises along the way. For several reasons, so much of the studio's production and accomplishments will simply not be covered during this celebration, and paradoxically, there has never been a more important time for the world and Disney itself to be reminded of the greatness of Walt Studio. With your help, we can make this 100-year anniversary truly wonderful by celebrating what Disney really is, what it means, and why it's important to everyone.